Working and being a student at Fawn Lake opens up a lot of really interesting opportunities that I might not have had otherwise. And recently, I learned about one that might be too cool to pass up. But first, I probably should fill you in on the last couple of months. If you're new here, hi, my name is Arya, and I recently adopted a halflinger named Jellybean. She is, by all definitions, my soul horse. And our story is a little bit complicated. You can learn more about it in these videos. Things have been going great with her. I love having her around and taking care of her, and in return, she helps me with my work by forcing play breaks. Maybe just don't tell my boss. Anyway, as much as she's a perfect, albeit mischievous, angel, she does have her quirks. The biggest one right now being that she hates being fenced in. It's a whole thing. I've been working a lot with the trainers at Fawn Lake to try and get her used to it because it is important for us to be able to work in the arenas. But in the meantime, we've been going on lots of walks, hikes, hacks, and trail rides. I can't thank the trainers enough for their help, and I've learned a lot, but this experience with Jellybean has inspired me to learn as much as I can about horse training. And this is where that cool opportunity comes in. Have you ever heard about a Mustang Makeover? Well, it's sort of this annual tradition on Jorvik where you take a wild Mustang and over the course of 100 days to 6 months, depending on the host, you train that horse to be competition ready. It's a tall order, that's for sure, but it seems pretty rewarding. At first, I wasn't really sure. I wasn't sure how I felt about these groups interfering with the wild herds. But as it turns out, it's actually pretty vital. You see, there are tens of thousands of wild horses around Jorvik. A portion of them are monitored by organizations like the South of Wildlife Foundation, and they keep track of things like population, illness, and the like. They also keep track of the effects those herds have on the ecosystem. Leaving the herds unchecked, their population booms, leading to disastrous effects across the island. Less food for the other animals and insects, malnourishment among the herd. You get the picture. But to avoid this, the SHWF steps in and carefully selects a grouping of horses to be brought in and adopted, with some of these going to makeover events and other government programs. This year, Fawn Lake's Rescue Headquarters is partnering with the SHWF to host a Mustang Makeover, and I've signed up. I was on the fence at first. I have my hands full with Jellybean and working, sure. But where else would I get the opportunity to learn from some of the best trainers on the island with hands-on experience? This is the sort of opportunity that would throw me in the deep end, sink or swim. And if I am truly committed to learning as much as I can and being the best caregiver I can, not just to JB, but to all of the horses in my life, it felt like a no-brainer. But I'm not entirely crazy. Wild horses have their own breed of challenges, so to make sure I would be prepared for this, I attended a sort of seminar workshop type thing. It was a crash course pretty much, cramming as much information as I possibly could into a weekend with the knowledge that it might go fully out the window depending on the horse that I get assigned. The main takeaway though is safety for both horse and rider. I know the end goal is to make sure my horse is ready to compete, but that's second to what the horse actually needs. Sure, it's still the goal, but I want to make sure that I set a good foundation with them, which means going slow. After the seminar, a quick interview, and verbal test, I was approved and assigned a Mustang. I had a few days to prepare, so I did some shopping, checked out my stall assignment, and mostly just counted down the minutes until I could finally pick her up. On Wednesday, me and some of the other trainers, it's so weird to say that, we went to the docks to meet our horses. I could tell you about mine, but I think it would be better to show you. Hi, Des. This is Desert Rose. I know, it's a little too fitting for a gardener. She's a 16-year-old mare, about 14.2 hands high. She is a little taller than the average wild Mustang. It's been a couple of days since bringing her over, and I think she's settling in pretty well. She's a little hesitant and shy, but she has been warming up, especially over the last day. I'm going to turn her out and clean up her stall a little bit, and then we're going to go work on her grooming, going slow to build up some trust. Oh, here's something interesting. When I met her, I noticed there were these markings on the side of her neck. I wasn't sure what they meant, but I looked it up. It's called a freeze brand. Basically, it's what the SHWF used to keep track of who she was. Some of the horses that came over had them, but others didn't. From what I can tell, at some point they switched over to microchips. With her being 16 years old, it's possible that she was branded a while ago. If she got sick or injured and the SHWF intervened, they would have branded her before releasing her back to her herd. I emailed them to get more info because if she did sustain an injury, it would be good to know before we start training, just to make sure she doesn't re-injure herself. I haven't heard back yet, but hopefully I will soon. In any event, I learned how to read it. The first symbol is the organization or agency tracking the horse. The second two stack symbols are her birth year, 09 for Des, and the last 6 are her registration numbers, 622479. I'm not sure when she got it, but it doesn't bother her at all. It's not raised or anything, her coat's just white there. She was a very good girl for her groom, and look, I even got some plates in her mane. Next order of business is taking care of her hooves. Since she won't be roaming around as much as she would in the wild, her hooves aren't going to wear down like they would naturally. So getting her used to having her hooves worked on will be really important to maintaining her health and comfort. I've been making sure to pick up her feet and obviously picking her hooves, and she's been doing pretty well. She doesn't like having her foot held for too long, but I suspect that will come in time. I've scheduled a farrier to come out and take a look and give me an idea of how her hooves are looking and getting some advice on when to shoe her. She's obviously gone her whole life without shoes, so she might not need them, but it's always good to get an extra opinion. The farrier is all wrapped up, and she did pretty well. We do have to work on her lifting her hooves a little bit longer, but overall they looked pretty good. For now, we're going to leave her without shoes, but that might change as her hooves get used to the softer terrain in the paddocks, and just the general ground on this side of the island is much softer. If her hoof walls do start to weaken, we may consider getting her shoed, but all in all, she did really well today. I'm going to go get her some treats, and I think we're going to go for a run around the racetrack with Jellybean and call it a day. Well, that has been our progress for this week. We still have a long way to go, but I'm proud of her. It can't be easy having life as you know it completely change, and I can't exactly explain to her why. Though I can't say she hates having a warm shelter with plush bedding and guaranteed meals every day. My next goal is to get her accustomed to being tacked up. She does pretty well with the halter and being hitched and in the cross ties even, but I don't think she's even seen a saddle yet. That's gonna be my next challenge. I'm hoping to do these updates once a month, so stay tuned to follow our progress. I'll see you next time.